right, good morning to everybody. Good morning, good morning. I'm so excited to open up this meeting of the Knox County Ethics Committee Subcommittee. We have a huge crowd. I'm going to try to keep them at bay today, and very, very glad that you're all here today. Miss, could you please call the roll?
Michael Biddle.
Yes, ma'am.
Crystal Gibson.
Here.
Stephen Goodpaster.
Here.
Carletta Randolph Smelser. Marcus Hilliard.
Here.
Marcus Kennedy. Here. Greg Stinnett. You have 4 voting members present.
We have 4 voting members present, which constitutes quorum, and we are good to move forward. The next item on the agenda is the devotional, and I would like to read from Paul's book to the Galatians, chapter 6, verse 9 and 10. Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. And this is the big one, and this is the charge for all of us here today, including you 2 handsome devils in the audience there, is Galatians 6:10. Therefore, as we have opportunity, let us do good to all people, especially to those who belong to the family of believers. Amen. Thank you so much for being here and for all your service today. I know the people of Knox and I, for whatever that's worth, appreciate your hard work and your input here for this committee. I would like to ask Officer Crystal Gibson to lead us in the Pledge of the Flag.
Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, ma'am. You should have the December 3rd minutes in front of you. That was our last meeting. I want to thank Ms. Bennett and then also the wonderful clerk's office for keeping notes. Miss Haley did those, and she killed it. Would you all take a second or two here to review the minutes, and then if somebody's so inclined to put forth a motion to approve, I'd appreciate that.
Mr. Chair, I'll move that the minutes be accepted.
A motion by Mr. Goodpaster.
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Gibson. Any further discussion? All those in favor of approving, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes carry. Thank you so much. So we have a couple special guests here today. And gentlemen, would you like to come forward? Mr. Kennedy, I'm going to let you preface this and tee this up, if you could, and remind the public.
Sure, absolutely. So during our last discussion in our meeting in December, we were talking about how some complaints are received and whether it's employment related or not employment related. And so Zach Fullerton, he's our internal auditor, and then Richard Pugh as well from internal audit. They're going to just kind of talk about how we receive complaints. We work hand in hand all the time, and just kind of walk through that process, and then you all can ask questions if you have any questions at all. So,
Mr. Kennedy, thank you so much. Sir, welcome. Could you identify yourself, sir, for the benefit of the 400,000 people watching this?
Sure. My name is Zach Fullerton. I'm the Knox County Internal Audit Director. Thank you guys for having me. It's powered up.
That we'll give it a hot second. It's still a little cold out, so.
You guys will have to bear with me. I was at the UT game last night. It was double overtime, so I'm a little hoarse this morning. So just forgive me on that.
We need, the paper lauded Ament, and my hair was falling out every time he got the ball. We cannot have him inbounded anymore. That's for the public record. I'm just putting that out there.
I agree. All right. Well, good morning. Thank you guys for having me. So, as Marcus mentioned, I thought I'd just come by and tell you guys a little bit about the internal audit complaint process, the fraud, waste, and abuse hotline. So internal audit took over the fraud, waste, and abuse hotline back in 2017. We've run it continuously since then. There's basically two primary methods someone can submit a complaint. So we have an online portal, which is available through the Knox County Internal Audit website. And then also someone could call in and submit a complaint via our main telephone line. The online portal is actually set up through our internal audit software, which is called HighBond. That allows us to sort of set up a questionnaire, put out a web link, and then members of the public can access that web link, complete the survey, click submit, and it notifies all of our staff of 6 that we've received a new complaint. So every complaint that we receive is then a case file is created in HighBond to document sort of what we've received, and then of course to document any actions that we take on the case. And that's our primary source of record. Everything we do goes into HighBond. And I've actually got a little flow chart sort of the process. I don't know if I can maybe bring this up, pass this around.
Please, thank you.
So this just comes from our internal operating procedures. I just pulled it out of our IOPs. You can sort of see there at the top sort of what I was talking about in terms of, how complaints are submitted. I should also say, in addition to those two methods, I've received handwritten letters in the mail that we'll process. I've had notes like slid under my door, sort of, inconspicuously type of thing. And we'll process those. There's really nothing that we would not at least start a case file on. But our scope is going to be focused on that fraud, waste, and abuse, right? So you'll see at the top in sort of that top right quadrant, we put it through a process. Does this relate to fraud, waste, or abuse? And there's you can see our website there and sort of tells about what fraud, waste, and abuse is. If it doesn't, we're going to look at, can we transfer this complaint to one of our partner agencies? So, Marcus mentioned we work a lot with HR. If it's an employee complaint, employee performance that's not really rising to fraud, waste, or abuse, it might go to county HR. Same for if it's a schools employee, it would go to schools HR. The sheriff's office obviously has the Office of Professional Standards. Sometimes we submit things to them. We've received, criminal complaints that we then work just directly with the sheriff's office and say, hey, this is a criminal matter that needs, actual investigation criminally. So that's sort of a triage process where we determine where it's going to go. But again, we always keep total documentation for how we've processed it and what we've done with it. If we do work it, we'll just assign it to an auditor in our office. That's sort of the middle of the flow chart, right? We have access as audit to a lot of different resources, as you can imagine, things like badge swipes, video recordings of offices, of entries to the garage, obviously all the financial records, asset records, things like that. Basically anything we might need to handle the complaint, we have access to. So we'll review that information. We'll review the complaint, look at the available information to us. If necessary, we'll conduct interviews with parties, and then basically bring everything together into a final report, if you will. Usually, if it's a situation where it hasn't risen to a criminal nexus, it would be, like a policy violation. We would give that report to Knox County Management. So that's sort of the bottom right section of the flow chart. Just findings are provided to Knox County Management. We also, I should mention, we report to the Knox County Internal Audit Committee, so they would be briefed on anything that we're working on. If it does raise to a criminal nexus, we can see that it appears some sort of criminal action has taken place. We statutorily have to start working with the Tennessee Comptroller's Office. So we would engage with them. We would say, we've received this complaint, we've done this work, we're giving this to you all for your consideration. And at that time, we really no longer own the case in internal audit. It sort of becomes their work product and their property. And of course, attached with that is sort of confidentiality, increased confidentiality at the state level. But usually we'll work hand in hand with the comptroller's office as they're investigating something, just providing resources where we can and sort of making connections that they need throughout the county.
Thank you so much, sir. Just as a reminder to the committee and also to the public, the reason we asked Mr. Zach and his cohort here this morning was, if you have a complaint on fraud, waste, and abuse, how is that handled? And also the availability to the committee, but also the public, how do you go about the process of making that happen? And is there any way we could add this to our public record? Is this okay to go external?
Yeah, I mean, anything generally that we create like this would be public, so no problem to put it on the public record. Yes, sir.
Wonderful. Ms. Bennett, is that okay? Can you put that on? So this is the flow chart of a complaint submitted online via phone or in person. We really wanted to assure and update ourselves and the public of the ability to make this happen, that it is happening, because a lot of these questions were asked amongst the committee. And does that fall under the purview of the committee or not? And it falls under your stead. We still have a complaint process, of course, here through the Ethics Committee. But I open it up to the committee for any questions or anything that y'all might have. Mr. Goodpaster?
Yeah, you could see my eyes. Thank you, sir. I was just wondering if there is a mechanism that's in place that's like here that is, if this doesn't fit this bucket, then or we're pointing people to the sworn complaint process for an ethics violation. It lands, the public doesn't know, and a lot of this is like employee-based, right? I mean, it's kind of internal ops, but then, hey, I just need to tell somebody that this happens, so are we educating the public and helping them, and how can we do that through the addition of this?
Sure, yeah, that's a fair point. I don't know, I was just thinking, I know on the Ethics Committee website, you guys have a section that references to us. Maybe we need a section on our website that references to you all. That could be helpful as well. But, I would say all of our meetings with the Audit Committee are public, and as I mentioned, we update the Audit Committee on the status of our hotlines. We don't go into details, obviously, because of confidentiality, but it's sort of a, hey, here's how many complaints we've received, here's how many we've seen to resolution, here's how many are still open. So I know it can be tough for citizens to find the information, but I do think it is available, and anything we can do to be more transparent, I'm totally on board with that. I'd say in terms of numbers, we maybe 15 complaints a year. Sometimes it ebbs and flows. This is an election year. We will get more complaints this year because of it being an election year. But that's about the number that we process a year.
Do you, not to put you on the spot, is there anything, and this is an open question, not just for today, but moving forward, is there anything you could suggest that the Ethics Committee changes, does better? And again, that's just an open question, sir, to even think about moving forward.
Sure. Yeah, I appreciate the question. I don't know. I haven't. We've not engaged with the Ethics Committee a lot in the past, so this is sort of new to me. And I don't know exactly the statutory requirements of what all has to happen. I would say for us, we might receive a complaint that doesn't include a name, a number, an email address. It's 2 lines of, hey, I think this is happening, and we'll investigate it. That's a lot different than getting a sworn affidavit that's notarized, right? I don't know many people who would go to that length. And I could be wrong, and maybe the Ethics Committee receives a lot of those, but if that was the standard we held people to, we would never investigate anything because no one would submit a sworn affidavit. So I don't know if there's a possibility to alter that process a little bit, maybe make it a little bit more open to the public. That would just be one thought that I had. But yeah.
Thank you, thank you. Ms. Gibson, did you have a comment or?
Well, it dives into the whole, if you want people to submit ethics complaints, and just looking at this where it says complaint relates to fraud, waste, abuse of Knox County resources, is there any way to maybe incorporate referencing ethics violations, since we're, as the Ethics Committee, sending people to the audit department, but it's very diluted as to what exactly they can do. So if I was the public and I had an ethics complaint and I click on that link and it goes to fraud, abuse, or waste, I'm like, oh no, I'm in the wrong spot. And I would just go back and forth trying to figure out where I'm gonna go, which would piggyback into if I'm an employee at any certain entity and I didn't necessarily wanna be forthcoming with my name because I'm scared of repercussions, then how as a member of the public, how do I find that avenue versus doing a signed affidavit, which I'm not going to do because of repercussions? That's just where my mind goes. And how can we navigate all that to make it easier and more linear?
So along that front, I think that's something we can wrap back around because I share your sentiments on that. So I think I'd urge the committee to double down and look at our website again and see how easy it is for somebody to, or more importantly, how it can be easier for somebody to navigate and point. That's really where we're at, because you get on this and it can be A, overwhelming, B, I don't know where to go or what to do. So I'd like us to, for the next meeting, which is in 2 weeks, come back and look at, after looking at our website, with some suggestions on how to navigate this better. Make it easy for the public. It can be overwhelming for somebody to go on a website and say, I just want to do the right thing and I don't know what to do.
Sure, I agree 100%. And I would say, although that we're statutorily required to be sort of narrow in, hey, it's just fraud, waste, and abuse, I don't want you to think we never would just receive something that looked like an ethics violation or an HR violation and just close it. We don't do that. We always are going to try to find, where does this need to go specifically. So we do our due diligence in that manner to try to get it in the right place. So even if a member of the public has something and they want to get it to us and it's not necessarily fraud, waste, or abuse, we will still make sure it gets to the right place. We may not be the ones investigating it, but someone in Knox County will put their hands on it.
I like that. On your flow chart, just for the benefit of everybody in the public, on your flow chart, when it's no for you, you have 5 other options for folks to suggest where they go or to steer them. So,
sure. I mean, we got to make sure that people are heard. That's why we're here, is to help the citizens of the county. So, oftentimes, though, people will submit these anonymously, so we don't really have the option to go back and say, hey, well, we transitioned this out to this department, but I guess now is the opportunity to tell them, yes, we do take these very seriously. We do get them to the appropriate people, and they are handled internally.
any other questions or comments? Mr. Goodpaster?
Yes, sir. I just piggyback that on that exact spot you're talking on this flow chart. That might be a good opportunity to add in, referral to the ethics sworn complaint process, because that gets the word out that it exists. I mean, it does feel like we have, if we're on the ethics committee page and then it references to internal audit, like most people are going to think, well, that's where you go. Well, that's, the sworn complaint process might be where you go. So there's really two divergent paths, and being as clear as possible, it's all complex, but if we can be as clear as possible, that would be an aid to people.
I did have one in the past year who I referenced to the ethics committee, first time ever, and they were very thankful, and that was what they were looking for, so that was a win. But yeah, I'll definitely add that in on the right side there. There's so many. It's hard to sort of enumerate every partner agency that we have, just because. I mean, I've sent things to the state. I've sent things to the federal government. It's you know, Department of Child Services. We get a lot of things that sometimes aren't even county related, and still, I'm not gonna. If it's not county related, I'll try to find someone to get it to, because I don't want to just close it. So.
Not that I want you to keep adding a bunch of diamonds, but you might want, maybe you could add one that says other entities as deemed, or you know what
Sure.
I mean?
Yeah,
that way,
definitely.
because there is that other hole that you're saying of, oh, and there's all of these.
Yeah.
So, but Mr. Goodpaster, thank you for the suggestion of, and Mr. Zach had made mention of it too, adding ethics committee as an avenue here on the flow chart. Here's our chance to keep putting Mr. Zach to the fire here.
Oh, I love it. This is fun.
Don't pass this up. Mr. Hilliard, any questions or comments there? All right, Mr. Kennedy?
Just initial thoughts with knowing that we work with their team a lot. I think that this could be a good opportunity to have more of a collaboration between internal audit and the ethics committee. And we'll look at the website, find out ways to better label those. But like Zach's talked about, we get complaints as well that's literally 2 sentences. And I've literally seen some that look like a serial killer did it, where it's cut out. But like, it's hilarious. So we do the same thing. We'll operate as much as we can and trying to figure out whether it's employment related or not. But this could be a good opportunity to, and not trying to give more work to Zach, because I know they've got plenty. So, but just having that collaborative relationship with the ethics committee and internal audit could be very, very beneficial for Knox County.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kennedy.
One thing I might
Mr.
suggest
Zach.
too is just, if you have time, maybe take a glance through our internal audit website. And we post all of our final audit reports to the website. I don't think we get a lot of clicks on those, but you know, you can see it there at that sort of that top ribbon under audit reports. All of our reports broken down by fiscal year, sort of what we were working on. Of course, you have the audit hotline. Audit committee is who we report to, and it has it has pictures of everyone who's on the committee, which I think is important just for you know, citizens to know who's representing them on the committee. I know you guys are all sort of private citizens, volunteers, so might not feel comfortable doing that, but at least having the contact information on there I think is a good idea. All of our staff information is on the main page there. And then I think at the very top on a different ribbon, maybe facts sort of takes you through, hey, just some quick hits on what we do. And then there's sort of a graphic there at the bottom of what kind of services we provide. So a lot of times people in the public, what's the first thing they're going to do if they want to know more? They're just going to hit the internet, type in internal audit Knox County. So I want them to be able to at least have a little bit of information about us, who we are, what we do, and who's related to this process. So might be an option for ethics committee to add in some things like that.
Thank you so much, sir. I guess reflected back and Ms. Gibson put this in my head here this morning. If I'm a member of the public and I don't know what to do, and I look at the ethics committee, do we have a who do I call on the page? Because and then the question is, who do I call if I have questions as a member of the public? That to me is a big one. I don't know, I'm old-fashioned. If I see something and I want to do the right thing, this can be overwhelming. I don't know if that's something that we can answer or that we could suggest.
I'm
Mr.
happy
Kennedy.
to put my number on there if we need to, and put HR contact information at least, because we'll receive that stuff all the time too. So at least have something on there, have a number that people can call, and I can at least reference people to where they need to go. But there's nothing there now that I know of.
Anybody have any, I love it. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Kennedy or any concerns about putting his name up there as a contact, or if you have questions?
I would say I'm a millennial and I hate phone calls, but the majority of people still prefer phone calls, right? We probably get more over phone than via our online portal. So I think it is important to have some sort of telephone number listed.
Great. Some of us are a year or two older than you, and we still like the phone. Oh, awesome. Mr. Kennedy, thank you so much. Let's do that, okay? Wonderful. Ms. Gibson, any further questions or comments for Mr. Zach? Mr. Goodpaster?
I just say thank you, and this example is, I think, a great thing, and I think this is the type of outline we should be including in the Code of Ethics, especially when it comes to the process of a complaint. Who it goes to first, what happens, what's required, it's just, it's nice and it simplifies things. Thank you for the example.
Yeah, thank you all.
Mr. Zach, I really want to thank you so much for being here today and help educate us and the public on all the fine work you do. We look forward to, I think I'm going to suggest to the chair of the full committee that you come on to an ethics committee to educate the full ethics committee about what you do and how you do it, if that's okay, sir.
Sure, yeah, that's no problem.
I appreciate you. And would your colleague like to do anything, or did he bring any food or anything, more
No,
importantly?
he's the better looking one, so.
Well, I wasn't going to say that, sir. But thank you so much, sir.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Any other comments before we move to the next? All right. So just for point of order, we had a wonderful public comment that came in, which we'll put under public forum. Ms. Bennett sent that out. I hope you all received that in email. Ms. Bennett, thank you so much for your hard work and diligence in getting that information out, as always. And it's very apropos to what we've been talking about. So that'll come up in the public forum. I'd like to move into, we've been going through the ethics code, and we are close to finishing up the Code of Ethics. We've been going through the Code of Ethics just as a catch-up for the committee and also the public. And Mr. Goodpaster, do you recall where we left off? I know it's pretty near the end.
It was, I think, as we were walking out the door, we started talking about the very last thing that's, hold on a minute, the conflict of interest disclosure form, and we tweaked the order of operations there to make
Yeah,
it better.
and to make it more based on like an appendix appearance versus just thrown at the end.
Right, that's my recollection.
Well, as a reminder, I had somebody ask me, are you all just going through the motions here on the Ethics Committee, or are you actually getting something done? So two things, being a country boy, I'm glad that person wasn't within arm's length. And then secondly, it was good they were over the phone. But no, we are doing stuff here. And we are going through this line by line, and I want to thank you all for your hard work in getting stuff done. We are getting things done, and I hope you all feel that way as well. I would never want to waste your time nor the public's time here. Were there any other comments on so this would be the Code of Ethics. And that's what I wanted to focus on closing today. I wanted to have Mr. Zach here. I wanted to have us at the point of code of ethics where we're at. And again, we will have another chance to go back to that, should we need to, and you review things and come up with other things. I'm not closing the door. But remember, our stead is to present this before the Knox County Commission and offer suggested changes. Mr. Sanders, who is 100% right, we do not have the authority to make these changes on our own, and we are just going to present those in a couple months to the county commission for a back and forth and for their approval or not, just as a reminder of our stead. So, code of ethics, were there any other comments or questions on the code of ethics?
I think the
Mr.
newest.
Goodpaster.
Thanks, sir. The newest version here today, January 14th, has Law Director's Office's comments in there.
Yes.
And that's new to see. And I think that work came from our request to look definitionally throughout the document, making sure that like the definition of a household and whatnot was kind of parallel throughout. Is that
Mr. Sanders.
Yes, I did do some work on this. Now, truthfully, I did not do the definitional work that you're talking about, Mr. Goodpasture. That'll still need to get cleaned up at some point. And the other thing that'll need to be majorly cleaned up, and this is often true when reviewing documents, is you all put a introduction into this at the, it looks like page 2 of the document after the page of contents, and it lists a whole lot of things that have been added. Well, some of those things were added initially and have been stricken since. So at some point, that'll need to get cleaned up to see what's actually left after the striking has been done. What I did this last time was, I think on page 3, I went ahead and struck some language that I suggested earlier. I mean, again, my edits are just suggested edits. Obviously, it's up to you to take them or not. But for the reasons that I had outlined in my earlier comment, I struck that. And you can see my comment there about my reasoning for striking that section that was added. And then I believe further on in the document, there was another strike that I suggested.
Yes, sir.
It's 8. Okay. Yeah, there's a newest strike was on page 8. I said, in line with our conversation on December 3rd, I recommend striking the provision. This body can impose penalties. We further discussed that the Internal Audit Department already can receive and investigate anonymous tips, but the role of the Ethics Committee is to adjudicate ethics violations. To do that, confrontation with an accuser is necessary. And I think that's one thing that I do want to speak to briefly. Remember that what happens on the ethics, if there really is a hearing on the Ethics Committee, full-blown, it's determined, his determination has been made that someone stated a valid complaint, and they are alleging facts which, if proven to be true, would be a violation of the Ethics Code, there's a hearing in front of the full Ethics Committee to determine that. The outcome of that hearing is reviewable by a chancery court. So we've got to give people due process. That means that they've got to have the opportunity to represent themselves. They've got to have an opportunity to argue against the challenge, argue against the accusations, and they have to have the opportunity to confront their accuser. So we can't be operating on anonymous tips. We can't be operating on, just hearsay evidence. We need to actually, if someone wants to pursue that all the way to a hearing, they're going to have to come before the full Ethics Committee and present their evidence.
Can I speak to that?
Ms. Gibson.
So in my job on the daily, I'm just going to throw out reckless driving. Somebody calls in and says they're so-and-so, and they give me a description and a vehicle tag, and they don't leave their name. They don't want to be talked to. They don't want us to call them back. They want to be an anonymous tipster. And so I go and I'm driving, minding my business. I'm like, oh, there's the car. And I pull the car over because they're driving like not so good. So I investigate that further, develop my own probable cause or reasonable suspicion to stop them based on anonymous complaints. So my question would be, as the ethics committee, could we not take tips and then move that forward with an investigation, develop our own probable cause to take that to a hearing? Or am I just overthinking that?
Overthinking, not the right word. Good question. Different circumstances.
Correct.
Way different circumstances. I like a lot of what Mr. Sanders said. All of it I agree with, number one. Number two, we have to maintain and set a standard, as Mr. Sanders had outlined, regarding the validity of which is what you have to do, right? But you're out in the field, a validity of a complaint, who it's coming from, because we need to ask that person questions. And we're not an investigative authority. I nailed that, didn't I, Mr. Sanders? We are not an investigative authority, which that's a lot where separates from your awesome, what you put out there. So we're not an investigative authority. We don't have, and we can't bestow upon us that authority, right?
I would agree with that. No, you can't.
That is where I think we need to make it open on our website, make it easy for someone to call somebody good-looking like Mr. Kennedy and say, hey, I can't put my name on this. What are my other options?
Well, right now there aren't any.
Correct.
Based on
Well, not through the ethics committee. Not through the ethics committee. Mr. Kennedy, if I miss Josephine Public and I don't want to put my name on an ethics complaint,
Right.
and I don't know what to do, so I look at the website. I'm older than Zach, so I need to call somebody, and I call you. What happens?
If someone were to call me, I would ask them what they observed, what the incident was, and just kind of, to give the HR answer, it depends. There may be something actionable that we can do that I would then call Zach and say, hey, this might be related to fraud, waste, and abuse or something else that could be under their purview, or is it employment related? Maybe it's us, maybe we need to go look at something, or it could just be managerial discretion. Maybe we just need to reach out to that senior director of the department, or whatever it might be. You never know. I can't give you a definitive answer because it just depends on what the situation is. But to say that, I wouldn't do anything is, no, I would do something. I would at least route it to the right person because it's nuanced. I don't know, for lack of a better answer.
No, it is nuanced. And again, any phone call you'd receive, I'd 100% urge it to be directional and not constant. You
Right.
can't consult the person.
Yeah.
Because you and we have no purview
Right.
Over any law consultation or anything like that. Yours would be purely directional, sir, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Just basically be a compass. Help them figure out where they need to go, where it needs to go. Whether it's valid or not, I can say you might probably need to call and talk to this person. Here's their contact information, and there you go. So, I mean, good intentions. I understand completely what you're saying, Christoph, and I agree. Yeah, I mean, and that's what we're all here for. Is we want people to operate with the highest of ethics as possible. But we're also human beings, and people are going to make mistakes and do things they're not supposed to. Don't do stupid stuff, but they still do. So.
We're humans. So there's two things here. One, are you comfortable? So we're not an investigative. That's part of your. But there's a part two, I think, and you've brought it up before, which I really like. What can somebody do if they want to be anonymous? That's just the bottom line.
nothing. The way it sits now, nothing. That's been answered multiple times. So basically,
And
They can, but again, being anonymous, let me think of an example here. This just off the cuff. So say it's another elected official. So it's outside of our purview in HR. It's another separate elected office. Somebody observed somebody doing something, you know, whether maybe it's related to money, fraud, waste, and abuse, or time. Maybe they're taking a county vehicle to a restaurant and spending a lot longer than an hour lunch break there. I mean, they could make an anonymous complaint, but if it's that elected office, who is that going to go to? It wouldn't come to us. We could send it to internal audit, but I'm not sure they would be able to do much of anything either. Because there could be another story there. There could be, maybe they're having an off-site meeting. Maybe they're doing a luncheon for their team members for whatever reason. That's why they're there for a long time. Yeah, it could go 5 different ways, but if somebody wants to make an anonymous complaint, they can. But there needs to be some facts behind it too, because you can't just go out accusing someone of doing this without any proof. That like there needs to be some actionable item on there that says, hey, I observed this, you all may want to take a look at it, and we may just pass it to that manager or that director and say, hey, what was going on here? Is there something up? We would hope that they would do the right thing, but
We would hope,
yeah.
but isn't that why we exist?
Is it necessarily an ethics violation? I don't know. Again, it depends.
as far as our purview goes and our lane, as far as ethics committee, I still think it's so important that the accused can face the accuser. That to me is paramount, because it is, you could just have a number of complaints listed anonymously against somebody, and it is amazing in today's world and media how something is put out there and you're accused and you didn't even do it, there was no nothing. It is really tough to ever get that retracted off of you as a person, an accusation. And our newspapers don't, we're good. All right. Ms. Gibson, thank you for the questions very much. What I would like to do in the last, I got to take my shoes off, 18 minutes, is go through, Mr. Sanders and Ms. Gibson had related Mr. Goodpaster. I would like us to go through and start on page 3 of the Code of Ethics, page 3, section 1, definitions. And Mr. Sanders took a quality time to go through our comments and to make comments himself. I think what we could do is, and if Ms. Bennett, you could help me on this, the page before gives the suggested changes, right? So my goal on this is to have that list updated after we go through these pages. Does that make sense? All right. Mr. Kennedy, does that make sense, brother? All right. So let's go to page 3 if we're okay with that. Under section 1 definitions, 3, personal interest. We added personal interest means, and then at the end of the paragraph, if you all see, this definition is expanded to include any interest that could reasonably be perceived as influencing impartiality, such as investments, outside employment, and so on. Mr. Sanders has said, I'm suggesting striking this provision for the reasons stated in my earlier comment. Investments and outside employment would already be a financial interest. The remainder of the suggested language is really too ambiguous to be helpful. I would agree. I would agree. Are we all okay steadying that and getting rid of that?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Goodpaster, Mr. Hilliard, Ms. Gibson? All right. Mr. Kennedy? All right. Section 2, we still have a standing addition here at the end of section 2, disclosures of personal interest in voting matters. What's been added is disclosures must be filed annually with the county clerk, even if no conflicts arise, to promote proactive transparency aligned with standard U.S. practices. Y'all good? I'm just going to do a blanket, y'all good or not, and if you're not good, you just push back, okay?
Yeah, I would consider that, like, perhaps, I get it, the idea of re-upping, essentially. But it also, the trigger, I think, is if there is a personal interest, then you make the notice. It seems like it could be onerous to put that in there, to have this provision.
I know what you're saying. So if we're doing it annually, but something comes up after 3 months, you're still waiting to the annual. Is that what I hear you saying, sir?
Essentially, right, yeah, it's like, if it happens, I mean, if you've been educated and you know about it, that you're supposed to do it, then you do it when it happens. Otherwise, part of it's like, should it just be in like an annual training? I mean, if we talked about that at the last meeting, about having a for the full committee, and here's how it works, you know, training thing. Does that not accomplish that?
So let me just make sure here. This is an elected official or employee in Knox County. The paragraph starts, right? So in the rest of the paragraph does say if things, I'm now inserting some verbiage here on my own that's not in the paragraph. But if you're at the meeting and you have conflict or a disclosure that hasn't been put forth, it is your responsibility to do so at the meeting. Mr. Sanders?
Yeah, I believe that's right. I don't remember every meeting's rules of procedure offhand, but typically that is the rule that is, each voting body has its own rules, the county commission, school board, et cetera. Not that this committee covers the school board, but typically within those rules is a duty upon a member to, at bare minimum, disclose any particular interest that they would have in the outcome of the vote, and oftentimes to recuse themselves if that disclosure, if that would influence their vote.
So I think we have that safeguard on an ongoing basis as far relative to voting and action, even if somebody waits till their annual to update it. I think we're okay. All right, Section 3, disclosure of personal interest in non-voting manners. What's been suggested to add is procedures for conflicts are clarified to require immediate notification to a supervisor or the ethics committee with documentation retained for audit purposes. So this is actually doubling down on what we just spoke about. There's also a reference here that's been added. This says, please see attachment A of this document for the disclosure form. That's the disclosure form attachment at the end that Ms. Gibson loves, and that we're putting as an attachment to highlight, so it doesn't get buried in the document. Y'all good keeping that? All right. All right. Section 4, acceptance of gifts and other things of value, solicitation or acceptance of gifts. I'm just going to read this first part here. This has actually just been moved from Section 1 to here. So it had stated, no public officer, county employee, or candidate for nomination or election shall solicit, comma, added here, or offer, or accept anything of value, including a gift, loan, reward, promise of future employment, favor, or service. And then this added, flights, political contributions exceeding state limits, and campaign-related benefits in line with enhanced transparency standards. So from the flights to the enhanced transparency standards, that's just been moved from one section to another. Y'all good? Mr. Kennedy? All right.
I do have a comment on this section.
Please.
If you come down to the numbered list where it goes 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yes, sir.
Number 4, I think that numbering needs to be stricken, and it should just say, for the purposes of this section, the following do not constitute anything of value. And then we restart the numbering, 1, 2, 3. Or A, whatever, yeah.
I like it. So first of all, we have to stat 4.
Yeah.
Four is gone. All right. And then,
It continues, it's a long list.
that is a long list. I'm going to leave it up to Ms. Gibson because I'm feeling just so charitable today. Do you want those to be numerical or alpha?
Well, I just think the document needs to stay
Consistent?
uniform and consistent, correct. So if we start the others with 1, 2 with brackets, the rest needs to be in brackets. And then, you know I'm a APA guru, but I feel like we should follow the rules of proper writing.
I love it. So what I hear you saying is staying numerical.
Well, again, we go back again, I'm picky, but we start with the definitions and we have ones in brackets. So, I would like to see those in brackets and then start with for the purposes be, and, just an entity on its own. And then the next section would start with like A, just to delineate from the other section, unless that's a flow from the preceding section.
Ms.
I'm
Gibson,
confusing the heck out of you, Mr.
you
Biddle.
are. Don't forget. No problem. So let's briefly go through this, Ms. Gibson. I've got section 4, then 4.1. Then I have the number 1, has or is seeking to obtain. You
So that would
following
stay
me?
1.
1,
That would
2,
stay
3.
one. And then just
th-
for the purposes would be, because that's that whatever precedes that, right? It's piggybacking off of it.
Yep.
Then I would do A.
You would do A
But
before.
that's just me being picky.
Okay.
It's,
Mr. Sanders,
I'm just going to throw into your discussion.
Please.
Without much more comment, that if you go to section 4.2, there's also a category of acceptable items, which perhaps ties in better to the following shall not be a violation than putting it under what is a violation. I remember my comment last session about living documents and how things get inserted and deleted and moved around. It seems like just logically, some of this might just fall under the acceptable items listing, but that's up to you all.
so Mr. Sanders, do I hear you saying don't have 5 on in the previous section?
You certainly do not hear me telling you what to
Okay.
do.
No.
I'm just suggesting that what the committee might consider, and I've not thought through this completely, moving all of that section for the purposes, for instance, basically things that are allowed into the section of acceptable items.
For the purposes of this section, the following do not constitute anything of value, down.
Right, or then maybe not. I mean, it's up to you. I'm not trying to tell you what to do. I'm just pointing out to you that there is a section already in which some acceptable items are delineated.
So what I hear from Mr. Sanders, from a option and a suggestion is taking what's currently 4 through 20, we have a new 20 if you look on the next page, and moving that under acceptable items.
I believe that is a good suggestion. And I'd also add that under acceptable items, that it really needs to be 2 paragraphs. Marcus, are you there? Yeah, it just, it says it shall not be a violation, and then 4 sentences down, it says, again, it shall not be a violation. There's just really 2 topics there, and that doesn't need to be one giant paragraph.
Got it. Okay, is it the will of the committee to move what is 4 through 20 over under acceptable items 4.2? Everybody good with that?
Yeah. Mr. Goodpasture, you want to leave those 2 paragraphs? Is that what you're saying? Like separate those out? 'Cause it
I
looks
just
like
think they just need to be,
like that right there, just,
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
that
And
makes
then moving the rest of the stuff
then
down.
the list is underneath that, yeah.
Okay.
It's still gonna need some more work, but
Yeah, I can work on the formatting.
Structurally, this is a lot better.
So then if we were to cut and paste this and move this over, that would go under that second paragraph. And then it would start with no number, no letter. For the purposes of this section, the following do not constitute anything of value. And then under that, Ms. Gibson, would that number 5 there become number 1? Mm-hmm. Sweet.
Mr. Biddle?
Sir.
I think you could strike for the purposes of this section. You can just say the following do not constitute.
I like that.
Yeah.
Do you see that, Mr.? Oh,
Sorry.
no, you're doing great.
Okay.
Right there. Oh, go up. Right. Stop. Right at the bottom. Stop. Right at the bottom of the page. For the purposes of this section, just to the left of the F. Yep. You can get rid of that. You can stat that.
Just delete that?
Yeah, not the whole thing. Just for the purposes of this section.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
And then cap that T to a capital T. Woo-hoo.
Well,
Mr.
wants to
Sanders.
cooperate.
Hey, Mr. Chair, I would just note for you all that it appears upon just a quick read that the final sentence of the old acceptable items in section 4.2 appears to basically restate what the new section 20 in what was 4.1 is. So someone may need to do some editing to clean that up.
They're not in conflict with each other, but they're saying the same thing twice.
Essentially,
Yeah.
yes, they are. I think there's, the language is very slightly different, but looks like something that you all could clean up and just eliminate one or the other.
I would suggest, I would suggest to the committee to remove that second paragraph then.
Well, it speaks to charitable events, like the whole first section's the same. The only thing that's different, when you get to provided in connection. So provided in connection at the top with a conference sponsor, blah, blah, blah. The second part is connection with a charitable event sponsored by an established charitable organization. So it speaks to the conference versus charitable, which we could clean that up.
So why don't we look at that as we close this meeting today? Why don't we look at that offline? And we're going to start 2 weeks from today. We can start right here in section 4.2 and clean that up. And we can move forward through the rest of the document, reaffirming what we agree with presenting or not. Does that sound good? Mr. Sanders, did you have a comment, sir?
I did. Some of you all overheard that I will not be here for the next month. I'll be recovering from a medical procedure. Mr. Book or Mr. Boyers will probably be sitting with this group and the regular ethics committee until I return. However, we do have with us today Ms. Rachel Harrison over here, and she is an attorney in our office. Honestly, she'll probably get detailed whatever legal work needs to get done, research, writing, et cetera, to help you all out. And she is reachable through our office. And for all I know, Mr. Book may assign her to come sit in on the meetings as well.
Well, one, we can't thank you enough for all your work on this committee and all your support and suggestions. You'll be in our prayers for successful knee surgery. And I had offered this offline, but certainly do in public. I'm happy to perform the procedure should you need that done. All right, just because I love you so much, I'm just trying to help. All right, folks, we do continue to move forward. It is my goal and our goal for next week to codify our suggestions for the Code of Ethics policy to present in future date to the County Commission. We do have one outstanding. Before we close, and that is the awesome email that we received from a member of the public. And for the benefit not only of that gentleman that submitted it, but to the public, I'd like to address that. And this was actually forwarded. Ms. Bennett, you forwarded it to our committee, and it was addressed to Commissioner Larson J. All right, I'm doing okay so far. All right. So this is in reference to, and I'm sorry to do this, but somebody took the time to do this, so I'm gonna read this for the benefit of the committee and the public. So again, to Honorable Larson J., Member, Knox County Commission, Chair, Oversight Board for Bean Juvenile Center. Dear Commissioner Larson J., I attended one of your campaign events in Farragut recently and look forward to attending the Veterans event you are hosting in January. I also applied for the Knox County Ethics Committee based on my experience as a long-time, multiple-time prevailing whistleblower in DOE. I imagine that would be Department of Energy. My question is, what may be deficient in the scope and/or implementation of the Knox County ethics policy given the recent revelations about longstanding, seriously deficient conditions and processes at the Richard Bean Detention Center? So this goes on, and I really want to thank Mr. Joseph Carson of Knoxville for putting in this email. Love the public input. We need to have more of that, so thank you, sir. I would like to, because this will address the rest of the email. Mr. Carson references the ethics committee, references the ethics policy, and it said, in reference to the Richard Bean Center and what happened there, and some oversight or lack thereof by the ethics committee. I'd like to ask Mr. Kennedy to address this and kind of put some context where the Richard Bean Center was, where it is now, and how complaints could or could not be filed in those times. Mr. Kennedy?
Sure. So historically, the Juvenile Service Center operated independently of Knox County. It had its separate board. It was, and Richard Bean was the superintendent of it for 50 some odd years, whatever it is. So once all that changed this past summer, it's currently under the executive branch for the time being. And you know, HR, we've been working very, very closely with them to help implement some changes on the employment side. They're working closely with DCS as well on the juvenile side that I can't really speak of because I have no idea. So there's a lot of stuff that's in the works right now to change that and fix it up, and we're all very well aware of it. I know the public is now too, since that a light was shown on that. So right now, if there's any team members that have complaints or issues, they've been coming to us, coming to HR, and we've been working through those. So it's kind of in the air, and from what I understand, that they're looking at possibly putting it under the juvenile judge right now. So everything's in the works. So I don't know. That's the additional context for you, just to add some stuff in there.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy. Mr. Sanders?
Yeah, I want to be careful about what I say and how I say it, but basically this public comment is asking this committee, the conclusion of the sentence, if nothing else, it seems to me that the Knox County ethics policy should be amended to require whistleblowing of county employees to wrongdoing or other waste. First of all, I would say that as this author acknowledges in his email, that is not within the purview of the ethics committee. But secondly, there is in fact a mandatory whistleblowing that's part of the employment practices of Knox County. It's in the Knox County handbook. It is absolutely clearly stated that all employees have a duty to report any fraud, waste, and abuse. And we have our internal audit committee who can investigate it. So, I mean, the system really does exist. And, yeah, so I guess that's where I'd leave that.
Mr. Sanders, thank you. Mr. Kennedy, thank you so much. I think out of the both, first of all, again, Mr. Carson, thank you so much. And it is important that there are avenues for whistleblowing, and secondly, that protections are embedded in any of that to protect the whistleblower. Secondly, the Richard Bean a detention center was not under the purview of the county until last July, I believe, about that. So no action could be taken by the county up until that point. Now that it does fall under the county, there are several avenues that a whistleblower could go through the county now, and secondly, be protected federally, state, and I'm sure at the county level, per Mr. Sanders. So, Mr. Carson, I want to thank you so much for your input and in your care. Keep it up, sir. All right. What do y'all think? I want to thank y'all today. Were there any further comments, questions, anything for the good of the order? I want to thank our guests here today. I want to be mindful and prayerful for Mr. Sanders and his knee. I want to thank the awesome county clerk's office for taking notes, and to Miss Bennett for her diligence behind the scenes to keep us. This is a rowdy crowd right here. I just want everybody to know. We look pretty calm in public, but it gets a little out of hand. Miss Rachel, thank you so much for being here today. If there's nothing else for the good of the order, do I have a motion to adjourn? Make a motion to adjourn. Ms. Gibson.
Second.
Mr. Hilliard, thank you so much. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes carry. Thank you. Oh, wait, just for once.